Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time for Thompson. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics or reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, commentaries, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, he wanted me to do a topic, 48 Hours versus Lethal Weapon, which I think is better, which I think is edgier, so on and so forth. Now, 48 Hours and Lethal Weapon, two films that, when people think about buddy cop films, or it's weird to say that because 48 Hours, Eddie Murphy's not a cop, but the type of buddy films that would become prominent throughout the 80s and 90s. Tango and Cash, Bad Boys films, things of that nature. A lot of times, even today, it would go back to either 48 Hours or Lethal Weapon. 48 Hours, of course, was first in 1982, although you could say there were films before that that dealt with a buddy system, but not as prominent as 48 Hours did. Plus, that movie had the mega star breakout role of Eddie Murphy, being so young and just being this energetic ball of comic fury. I got a badge, that means I got permission to kick your ass wherever I fucking feel like. What's this? Tax refund. Bullshit. You're too stupid to have a job. And then, of course, Lethal Weapon, with the buddy cop, you have the one guy who's on edge, and just the other guy who's a family man, the differences between the two, the friction, just like in 48 Hours, but then by the end, they become friendly with each other. I sat there, I mean, this is tough. It's tough to choose, like, which I prefer, because I think that it's one of those that would change each day. Like, I rewatch a film, oh, it's this one. Then I rewatch that film, oh, it's that one. And I go back and forth. People know these two films. I don't have to explain what these two films are. They're damn classics. Choosing either one is not a wrong answer. But edgy-wise, he asked me which is edgier. If you're talking language, it'd be 48 Hours. If you're talking action, it would be Lethal Weapon. Because action-wise, Lethal Weapon, I mean, it starts with a damn girl, titties out, jumping out the fucking window, and then you have your main guy ready to commit suicide with a fucking bullet to his brain during Christmas time. And he's watching Bugs Bunny. How can you commit suicide while you're watching Bugs Bunny? I mean, Bugs Bunny ain't that bad. But it's a very serious moment. It's like, oh shit, that's where this guy's headspace is at. Dialogue-wise, it's 48 Hours. I mean, you have your main cop, Nick Nolte, saying the N-word, and Eddie Murphy saying the word that rhymes with tag. It begins with an F. Or rhymes with maggot and starts with an F. And they didn't care. They didn't care because that's how people talk back then. That's how some people still talk today. They just don't want to... so they don't get canceled. But it's very much of a raw, which you saw less of that, of course, in Another 48 Hours. Like, you watch 48 and Another 48 Hours, you definitely just listen to the dialogue, and that right there tells you the difference in time periods. 48 Hours, much more of a harsher, grittier dialogue, so that's definitely, action-wise, Lethal Weapon. I guess really, what are you wanting more out of a film? Comedy or action? I think 48 Hours is a much funnier movie. Because you get Eddie Murphy just being a ball of energy. You Roxanne! To Jack, tell me a story. Fuck you. Oh, that's one of my favorites. Just hilarious bits of dialogue between the two. And you have that crackling, busting of heads energy. of cop and crook. Lethal Weapon is a better action movie. There's action 40 hours. It's not bad. It's Walter Hill directing, but the action is definitely better in Lethal Weapon. I mean, just the finale with Martin Riggs being electrocuted, breaking the guy's neck, shooting their way out of it, the bad guy's car hit the bus, hitting it. No way you live. No way. Danny Glover being a badass. The fist fight between Gary Busey and Mel Gibson. Get that shit off my lawn. If you're going more for comedy, I think... But Lethal Weapon still has some funny bits in it, too. It still has some humorous bits. So Lethal Weapon is a better action film with funny bits in it, and 40 Hours is a better comedy with some decent action bits in it. So then it comes into, 40 Hours, I think it has more of the breakout star with Eddie Murphy. Lethal Weapon, Mel Gibson had The Road Warrior, had Mad Max, but Lethal Weapon definitely is what elevated him much more into the mainstream. That's definitely a film that got him a lot more bigger roles and became even more of a bankable movie star because of Lethal Weapon and the sequels. I don't mind the music in 48 Hours, but I do think Lethal Weapon has the better music. I mean, 40 Hours, I like that the boys are back in town. The score is there. The score is fine. It's not one of my favorite James Horner scores. Kind of feels like what he would do later in Commando. It's fine. It's fine for what it is. I like it. But I do like the score by Lethal Weapon more. With the help of Eric Clapton. And I love the song by Honeymoon Suite. But you're a lethal weapon. Which, funny enough, give a little bit of tangent. When I first saw Lethal Weapon as a kid, I'd watch on a VHS tape with Lethal Weapon 2 and 3. So I would never see the end credits. It would cut off to start Lethal Weapon 2. It wasn't until I got the DVD years and years later. And then I'm watching the movie, and then I'm like, I guess I was doing something, so I let the credits play. And then the song starts playing. I'm like, what is this song? What the hell is this song? And it was the first time I heard that song. I'm like, wait, there's a song at the end of this movie? I thought it was just the Christmas music. I'm like, what the fuck? There's a... You're a lethal weapon. And you lose control. I'm like, wow, this is a pretty damn good song. I like this. And this is how I gotta admit this. I gotta tell him myself. I know, this is gonna be pathetic. Patrocious. When I started YouTube, I did music video tributes, and I did not know how to do that, so I just used still pictures. This is like 2007. About 2007, my first account. And because I was getting into Ninja Turtles, it'd be that. So it'd be like Raphael. And like Raphael and April. And then I put the song Lethal Weapon. I'm like, it's very embarrassing, I admit. I think because like when I saw the 1990 movie as a kid, I'm like, come on, Raphael should get April O'Neil. Not Casey Jones is bullshit. It's embarrassing to admit that, but I will admit, it's like, Raphael should get the pussy. He saved her. He should get the Poontang Pie. It's bullshit. It's racist. April O'Neil is racist. She hates the color green. But, yeah, I got really into that song. So I do think I think that's a good song. I think it's a better soundtrack compared to 48 Hours. But 48 Hours is still a good one. So, Again, 40 Hours has edgier dialogue, but Lethal Weapon has, I think, better action. I think 40 Hours is funnier, but I think Lethal Weapon is a bit more exciting. I think 40 Hours has the more explosive star at Eddie Murphy, but then Lethal Weapon has a bit better music. And I thought, well, how the hell could I look at this? And I overall chose Lethal Weapon, and here's why. I do think Lethal Weapon, I love the characters in 48 Hours, but I think there's much more of a deeper character arc in Lethal Weapon. I feel the characters go on more of a journey. I see Mel Gibson's character as a guy who is isolated, suicidal, and the heart of Riggs and Murtaugh becoming friends, and how becoming part of Murtaugh's family saved Martin Riggs' life. That Mel Gibson's character in such a deep turmoil, feeling so sorry for him that he misses his wife and he feels like he has nothing to do, so he goes on these suicide missions. But then knowing more about Murtaugh's family, and there's the wife, the dog, these little moments here and there, and you just really feel more of the love. Not that you don't feel in 40 Hours, but you feel more of the love between Riggs and Murtaugh as the movie goes on. This great bromance and friendship. And then that's more into the sequels as well. And it's very endearing. It's very more endearing as a character arc. It's very endearing as a journey. And it's Steve's voice as his neighbors talking, but whatever, they do their own thing. As long as you leave me alone. I don't care. But yeah, I would choose Lethal Weapon because of that. Because even in just the first film, you feel more of that journey. That by the end, that little bit where you realize my wife's. This is not the end, but earlier on, you realize my work. I want to get it right. You really like my wife's cooking? No. And then Murtaugh smiles. Or earlier, when they're looking at Murtaugh's boat. Is this what you're looking for, Captain? You asshole! And then by the end of it, he invites Riggs to family dinner, and he accepts, and you get the idea he's become part of the family. And you see that more throughout the sequels, and that's kind of one of the endearing things of that franchise. That's why Lethal Weapon 4 I've warmed up to as years go on. Because if you asked me 10 years ago, I'd be like, yep, it's one of the top 50 worst sequels. Nah. The way the characters are still there, the way the ending of Lethal Weapon 4 is that's why you don't need a Lethal Weapon 5, because the ending of 4 is kind of heartwarming. It shows the years of their friendship and the family together. People may call it cheesy, but you know what? With how many movies they kill off characters and dire circumstances, I'm like, you know what? This is actually not that bad. Not that bad at all. I have issues with it. It's my least favorite of the 4, but you know what? There's so many worse sequels in Lethal Weapon 4. So I warmed up to it. And that's why I love 48 Hours. It's one of my favorite Eddie Murphy films. My favorite is The Golden Child. And then I think Beverly Hills Cop. But 40 Hours is up there. But I gotta choose Lethal Weapon because my favorite genre is action. I used to think it was horror, but the more I thought about it, it is action. Action is my number one favorite genre. It truly is. And it being more of an action movie makes you a bit more into it. Again, the character arc that you see of Martin Riggs and that endearing, heartfelt friendship, I thought that really That really helped made it a little bit of extra step up for me to pick over 48 hours. Maybe that's just me. So, but I mean, you can't go wrong. They're both great choices. They're both great movies. Both 80s classics. Think about that. In the same decade, you have 48 Hours, Lethal Weapon. Same with like Predator, RoboCop, Rambo films, John Carpenter's The Thing, Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, just the cluster of classic movies you get. You know, the reasons why the 80s are so beloved by a lot of people nowadays, especially compared to today. So, with this said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.